All right, we're on the next stage of saving Lana, this Murray 21-inch with the Briggs & Stratton 450E. I've got the carburetor off, and when I turn the carburetor sideways, usually when you do that, you know, when you first remove it, you tip it over, then the fuel will drip out of the inlet there. Well, it didn't do that, so I knew we had problems with fuel. So where we are now, I have taken out the cartridge, that's what this is called, and the fuel has to pass through there. And you can drill these out. I have a set of wires I use to test that, but as you can see, that is pretty funky. And instead of trying to drill it out with a micro drill, I went ahead and put a new cartridge in. And I'll buy sometimes 10 or 12 of these because this is such a common problem. So I've set this in here, haven't pushed it in yet, but I want you to see the difference. That is what a new one looks like. And I think you can see that, hole. That's the jet. See that clear piece right in the center of that brass? That has to be clear because all the fuel that runs this mower has to pass through that tiny little jet. And the fuel was so bad in this carburetor, it was debris and all kinds of stuff. And so this thing is, oxidized probably from bad fuel and what have you. And you can't even see the opening. I can pass a very fine wire through it, but I don't want to mess with that for our video today, so I'm putting a new cartridge in here, and let's make sure that it fits right. Now these new ones have a gasket right, let me get something I can point with. These new ones have a gasket that the old ones don't, and it's right there. See that black gasket? And if this interferes with the installation of this, I will remove that, but let's see if it'll go in. Sometimes it doesn't. Now this has to, the jet has to face the same side of the gasket, so I've got to reverse it that way. And it's almost in. Okay, and what I use is the same thing that I use to get the carburetor bowl off, which is just a kitchen knife that you'd use at the table. It's not sharp, it's like the kind you'd use to cut butter with or slice butter with. But the reason I like to use these, you go to a thrift store and maybe spend 25 cents and you can insert it to get the bowl off right up in there with the very fine edge. And then as you push it in, it separates it, and then you can flip it over, see, and it's very thick. And that helps remove that carburetor bowl. It's a little thinner on that side, so I flip it over and use this side. So I go in like that, and then I'm pushing in, and that thick part then separates the bowl from the carburetor, because that can be hard to do. And screwdrivers are not good for that because they're not fine enough and they just don't work. So I recommend you do something like that. So now we're gonna tap this cartridge into place. Let me set the camera down here and see if I can get that on camera for you. So I got my new cartridge in, but see, it's not flush. And if this thing doesn't settle in, I'll remove that rubber gasket. Let's see what happens here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but that is in perfect position. I also tell by the sound that that's good. All right, check the float. That's working the way it should be. The pin is in place. It's not loose or dangling. It's down in the little grooves that it's supposed to be in. And so I'm going to go ahead and slip the bowl back on. Let me get that. And the bowl, the orientation is like that. This square or rectangle has to be over that for this to be in the correct position. So that is correct. And let me tap on this a couple of times with my butter knife and sort of get it started. And now you put your long screws in here, and we'll get those started. I'm going to use my electric drill, but I'm going to use it on the least torque possible. So I'm going to screw that all the way down, because I do not want to strip this plastic out. So we'll get that going. Get that going. You can see it's starting to cinch up now. Let me show you that. I always like to watch this. And so it's close there. Now I'm going to do this side. It's getting close, very close. I'm going to just turn it with my hand now. And that is snug. That is snug. I don't want to go any tighter than that. So this carb is reassembled. And I wanted to show you, I decided instead of replacing this little jet on the side, I went ahead and drilled it out. So you can see that hole now. And if you'll look at carburetors you've got, with the ones with the primer, this will probably be white and it'll have a hole in it. And that's because it's going to pull air through there when you push the primer. This is the second one of these, really more than that I've seen of these Murray 21s where this is a blank. It's blanked off and there's no way the air is going to come through there. And I think that's part of the problem with these. I think they put the wrong parts in originally at the factory. As weird as that is, I find it over and over again. All right, so now we're going to assemble the tank and the carburetor back on as a unit. I've cleaned out the fuel tank. So let me reassemble that. I think it's pretty clean. I'll tell you what, hang on a second. I'm going to put some fresh fuel in here and kind of jostle it around to flush it out, because what was in there was bad. And I don't want any more of that in there. So just be patient with me. I'm going to come right back. Okay, I put some fuel in the tank and kind of jostled it around. There you can see some dripped out right there. Let me go ahead and let that do some more of that and go ahead and get that out. So that's some of the fuel I had in there. I'm going to come back. Hang on a second. Okay, shook this around a little bit and got a lot of that fuel out that I used to clean it with. And let me try to clean that up a little bit. Hang on a second, let me get my gloves. There we go, that'll catch it. Hang on, guys. Let me get my gloves on. I don't want to be touching too much fuel. All right. All right, so I got that all cleaned up there. So now I can take my tank and my carburetor, and I'm gonna install it now instead of after it's on the mower. I'm gonna put that on there. All right, I'll turn this way because that's gotta be toward you. Also make sure the hose clamps are facing me. And I'm gonna go ahead and hose clamp this carburetor on now with this flat end set of pliers right there. Okay. And so now, we back the camera up a little bit. Now this easily maneuvers to get it back on the linkage right there. Hope you guys can see that, yeah. Right there, make the L turn. Okay, and now I've got my retaining clip and my gasket in the carburetor. Lift it up a little bit, sort of get the carburetor in place and start the tank. Got it started. Now, I've got my little jet here. That little jet here has to go in that groove, see? And so now I can put this on and wiggle it. I got to keep an eye on that little gray jet that I drilled out and make sure it doesn't pop out. All right, so that's all in place, and now I finished putting the tank all the way down. So we're good to go there. All right, so let's take a break, and we'll come back and finish this up.